Hey, what's up? This is Jose, and I wanted to come on here again and talk about some of the ideas that I think are some of the most important concepts to understand if you want to be successful. So remember, this isn't for everyone, and my main intention here is to network with the best people that I can find in the world while also helping out as many people as I can along the way. And so I'm a straight shooter. I like to get straight into the point and just leave all the fluff out, and so I'll just crack right into it. What was on my mind was this. I was thinking about overthinking, and this is something that I do have to deal with myself personally, but also with my clients each and every single day. Almost every single person I work with has some level of overthinking, and so I thought it was. I'm pretty certain that it's about time that I make a video about this and really address how to not only get in control of this, but really turn it into an advantage. And so I'll give you a little bit of context and background about how I sort of arrived at this point in my life, where I still am a really big overthinker, right? Overthinking is one of my strengths now, but there's a way that I turned it into a strength to where it wasn't holding me back anymore. So about a decade ago, I read my first book on self-help, and one of the biggest things that I understood about myself from the get-go was that I am naturally an overthinker. Okay, and I have like sort of a personal theory. I haven't done like any field testing on this at all. I haven't done any research, any sort of statistical research on this, but this is just something that I've noticed over time. And what I've seen is, I've literally talked to more than 20,000 people in the past couple years because of the companies that I've worked for, the people that I've coached, traveling all over the world and whatnot. And the biggest thing that I've noticed is the more intelligent people tend to be overthinkers, right? It's not the dumb people, right? The dumb people that I meet are usually, they're more present to the moment. Actually, the people that I meet that are actually dumber are the ones who are more present to the moment, and thus they don't really overthink that much. And so the more intelligent people that I've met in my life, they're more introverted, and they also tend to overthink things. And I think the reason that this happens is because smarter people, they obviously have a greater mental capacity to think deeper thoughts. And so if you combine that with something like low self-esteem or low confidence, obviously like that mental capacity is going towards something negative. All of your energy and all of your focus is going towards the negative things in your life. And so if you tend to overthink those things, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it happens a lot quicker because you're smarter and you have a greater mental bandwidth to think those thoughts, if that really makes sense. And so when I was younger, especially when I first started in personal development, when I was like 16, 17 years old, this plagued my life, right? Because I wasn't confident, because I didn't have a really good connection with who I was as a person, I would overthink things, and it would create a lot of self-doubt. It would create a lot of the things like procrastination, self-sabotage. I would like, let's say if I had like a school project or something like that, or even when I was in university, when I was starting a business and when I was a leader in the organizations that I was in, it would make me procrastinate things to the very last second because of the fact that I needed it to be perfect, right? And it's because I was overthinking these things, because I needed to have a very perfect and a very succinct way of putting things together, whether it was for like my business or like a project that I was working on in one of my organizations. Almost every organization I've been a part of, I've always been some type of leader in there. It's just my nature. I've always wanted to be a leader in everything I ever did. And so now you combine that with someone who overthinks, it just makes the job way harder than it needs to be. Okay, so you take someone who, they think of all the possibilities, they think of all the problems that arise. Okay, and that type of person, it's like, okay, the upside is you do have a deeper understanding of what your problem is, but the downside is you're so focused on that problem that you can't really see a solution out of it. And so when you overthink things, it makes the emotions that much more intense, right? You can probably see this in yourself. If you have any kind of like depression or anxiety or self-defeating thoughts, anything like that, chances are you're probably an overthinker. You're giving way too much mental bandwidth to things that don't serve you. Okay, and so you combine that with something like low self-esteem, low confidence. It's like no wonder you can't get out of it, right? It makes it way harder. What you're doing is, and especially when you're overthinking, you're making problems a lot more complicated. And when problems are a lot more complicated, it's way harder to find a solution. And so you're kind of stuck where you're at, right? You're stuck where you're at, and it's almost impossible to make a move. It's almost impossible to take any action because your brain is literally holding you back. Your brain is not your friend. Like, your brain is literally not your friend if you're an intelligent person and you're overthinking things and you're not getting the results you want into your life. And hopefully that really makes sense. And if any of this resonates right now, pay close attention to what I'm going to say next, because I was that person. I was that guy, right? I always felt like I had more potential than all the people around me, yet a lot of my friends were getting way better results than I am. Right? They were getting better grades. They were doing better academically. They were making more money than I was. They were starting better businesses than me, right? They had better connections and better networks than I did. And it wasn't until I really addressed these things and found a deeper sense of confidence in myself that I was able to turn that overthinking disadvantage into a major advantage. And I'll tell you how that happens and what it looks like first. So when you turn overthinking into an advantage, it makes you that much more of an effective person. You're a better leader. You're sharper, right? You're so much smarter than the people around you that you come up with better solutions, if that makes sense. And you start to see between the lines, right? And this is where, I've made a couple of videos about this already, where when you get to this level of thought, when you get to this level of consciousness, things like setting goals and taking action on something complicated like a business or a really tough project, all those things become so much easier because you can see between the lines. You can see the end result before it actually happens. Okay, and so it almost like when you get to this level of thought, it's almost like you can predict the future, right? Because you have such a deep understanding of who you are as a person and what your strengths are and all the possible solutions to a problem. Because of that greater mental bandwidth, you are more effective. You are a more effective person because you have all that thought energy. If you're focused on winning, right? If you're focused on the solution, it just comes that much quicker, right? You're able to solve greater problems, right? And that's when you actually start making the big bucks too, by the way. Like that kind of person, that someone that has that much self-trust and that much confidence and is really reliable, is the type of person that can really think of like all the possible solutions to a problem. And companies will pay you literally whatever you want in order for you to come and work with them. Okay, and when you get to that point, that's how you know you are reaching success. And when you have that overthinking advantage for you, right, when it's working in your favor, you become the type of person that executes on a business immediately, right? You don't have to procrastinate. You're not worried about what it might look like in the meantime, right? You're not focused on the outcome, you're focused on the process of what that might look like. And it might not be perfect, it might not be pretty, but you know that the outcome, the desired outcome that you are going to get is going to come because you are so focused on winning, if that makes sense, okay? And so it's a very subtle shift here, but it took me years to internalize this because, again, it was everything, when you have the negative version of overthinking, it's all rooted in low confidence, right? Low self-esteem. And so you're constantly doubting yourself all the time, right? You're your own worst enemy at that point. But if you actually have it in the positive way, right? If you're able to overthink in a positive way that actually brings you better results and more creativity, it makes you the type of person that gets shit done, right? That's the future. Those are the future leaders of the planet. Those are like the politicians and the CEOs and executives of companies and the people on the front lines who are making the most progress. And so you want to strive to be that kind of person, especially if you are smart. The average person has an IQ of about 100. And so if you're 100 or over, this is something that you should pay attention to drastically. And if you are an overthinker, take this to heart, right? Apply this today into your life and understand the fact that like you can turn this into an advantage. And you don't have to be bogged down by this negativity or this negative thought energy that's really holding you back from just getting a better life, going out and achieving greater and greater things. And so just to circle back to some of the negative aspects of this, one thing that I really forgot to touch on was the fact that when I would overthink a lot, it would make me stagnate. Okay, so it basically drained me of my energy because you have all this thought energy, right? And your thoughts you think something like 9,000 thoughts a day. 9,000 thoughts a day. And if they're all focused on the wrong things, if it's focused on negativity, guess what you're gonna get? You're gonna get more negative results. And I just got off a call with one of my clients and I was talking about this right here. You're putting him in a position where he's focused on the positive things in life, focused on the wins. Even if they're small, you're focused on the wins. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. And so if you can shift your focus from negative things to positive things, and you overthink on the positive things, it just makes your life so much better. You attract success a lot quicker. And so the way I got to that point was, number one, I found some deeper confidence in myself, okay? There was a period of my time where, if you know a little bit about my story, I had major depression, major anxiety, and narcissistic personality disorder. Now, those things are still part of who I am, but I'm in so much control of it. I have such a deep understanding of who I am as a person and what my mental tendencies are and what my personality is like, blah, 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 that I'm in such deep control of who I am as a person that these things no longer affect me. And actually, I use them as inspiration. I use them as fuel, okay? And so that's how you turn those things into an advantage. But it started with me digging deep and figuring out who I was as a person. What's my role? What's my purpose here on this planet? And I spent a lot of time doing that, and it was painful, right? Like a lot of darkness came up for me, a lot of insecurities and negative thoughts and negative beliefs and limiting beliefs and self-sabotage really came to the surface and it caused me to be suicidal for a little bit, right? But I wanted to go through that pain because I understood that my thought energy was negative. And in order for me to turn that into a positive, I had to grow a good relationship with that part of me. I grew that good relationship and I cultivated a deeper understanding of who I am as a person, and thus I was able to shift my focus to the great things in life and be extremely grateful for who I am as a person and every single opportunity that came my way. Okay, and so it started with me finding some deeper confidence, and a couple of other main things is I started to hang out with smarter people that were focused on the positive things in life, that were getting better results, that were leaders in their organizations. You know, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with most, and so if the people around you, they're complaining, right? They're also overthinking. They're not getting the results they want in life. They're not progressing. They're not getting better, right? They're not challenging themselves to become smarter, to grow better skill sets, to grow bigger skill sets, to understand themselves on a deeper level, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. You need to get away from those people right now. Doesn't matter how close you are to them. Doesn't matter how much you love them. You need to start spending time with better people who are on your level or who are ambitious enough and enthusiastic about getting to that level, if that makes sense. And so that was one of the biggest things that helped me, right? I spent a lot of time with some of the best motivational speakers in the world. I traveled throughout Europe and throughout the United States with these people, going to different cities, giving talks, right? Doing sales with them, learning from them absolutely any possible way that I can, picking their brains for hours on end, right? Helping them make money, helping them with their business, providing value to them so that way they can in turn provide value to me. And what happened was I became the type of person where, yeah, I'm still an overthinker, but now I'm thinking in the positive way, right? I'm overthinking in a way that brings more value, not only to my life, but to everyone's life in front of me too, right? And when you get to that level, you're almost like you're a beacon of light, you're a beacon of hope. People want to hang out with you. People it's gotten to the point where people are literally paying me tens of thousands of dollars for me to coach them, right? Just so they can pick my brain and understand how I got to this point in my life. And I'll tell you right now, it's not that I'm special or anything like that, but I deliberately and intentionally spend time with some of the best people in the world, so that way I can get to this point where the limitations and the negative thoughts and the self-fulfilling prophecies are not holding me back, and instead they are my fuel for success. Okay, now I overthink in the positive way. And I think you know, if you consider yourself a smart person, you know, take this very seriously. Like, take this to heart. Understand that you can turn this into a fuel. You had one of my mentors, my earlier mentors from a few years ago, he noticed this about me. He noticed that he noticed that I had a tremendous amount of energy. And at the time, I viewed it as a negative thing. It's like, wow, I feel way too much. I'm way too empathetic. I'm overthinking things. I think way too much and I complicate my problems. I always felt it was like a negative thing. And he told me something really special, and I still think about it to this day all the time. And he said, look, man, the fact that you have this much energy, it's a gift, right? It's a blessing. If you're not in control of it, it definitely is a curse, right? It's a curse because you're not getting what you want. But the way you turn it into a blessing is you point it and you get really specific and intentional about what you want to focus on, and you push that towards things that are things like gratitude and positivity and appreciation for your life. And you focus on the love and the energy and the positivity of each and every situation, and understand that everything that is happening to you is happening for you, right? It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Every single circumstance that you are in is an opportunity for you to learn something new in order for you to progress more in life, right? And when I began to understand that it's actually a gift to have that much energy, because what that means is you have the potential for more. That means you have the potential to be a leader, to be someone that a lot of people can rely on in order to get a result, in order to inspire them, whatever the case may be, whatever your purpose is in life. That means you have that much energy to dedicate towards that. Does that make sense? And so again, you know, you start to think about things like in this way, right? You think about the positive things and the amazingness and the greatness that can be your life if only you had the right mindset, right? That's when your life really starts to change the trajectory, right? That's when you really start getting on the path towards greatness and success, rather than stagnation and apathy and negativity and just really shitty results, right? Don't do that. Like, commit to yourself right now. Commit that you are going to turn this into an advantage and use it for good. What I would encourage you to do, if you think you're a smart person and you have a high IQ and you consider yourself an intellectual, spend some time to cultivate this type of personality, right? The type of personality that you're an overthinker, and instead of trying to cut against the grain, right? Instead of trying to cut against the grain and stop yourself from thinking or numb your brain or do whatever you have to do in order to stop thinking, why don't you turn that into a positive thing? Cut with the grain, right? Go with the flow. Right, go with the current. If you're ever, I'm from Miami, right? And so we're always taught at the beach, if you get caught in a rip current, you swim with the current. Let the current take you where it needs to go, right? And then once you're out of that current, you can swim back to shore. Well, it's kind of the same thing here, right? You don't want to burn all your energy trying to stop yourself from thinking. It's completely counterintuitive, counterproductive, and it robs you of your energy, and it robs you of your uniqueness, your creativity, your authenticity. So if you just swim with the current here, right? The current that's making you overthink like crazy, and you began to develop some greater positivity and just a greater level of fulfillment and wholeheartedness in your life. Now it's a gift that you can share with other people and inspire them to be great too. Okay, and again, these are like the future leaders of the world, the people that I want to hang out with this, and that's exactly why I sought the camaraderie and the partnership of these kinds of people, because I knew that if I can master this part of myself, it'll completely change my life, and I will never ever have issues with low self-esteem and low confidence ever again. Okay, and I'm here to tell you right now that that's exactly what you have access to, right? Even when I'm not confident, I am confident. It doesn't matter how I feel on the inside. It doesn't matter what's going on externally. It doesn't matter what circumstance I'm in. I am calm, I am confident, and I know exactly how to take action no matter what. And that's the type of person that it gets paid the big bucks. That's the type of person that people want to spend their time with. That's the type of person, you want to be that person for your future family, right? You want to be that type of person for your future kids, so they can look up to you and say, wow, that's my dad. That's the kind of person that I want to be like. And you want to be an inspiration to them so that they can go on and do great things as well. And you can give them maximum opportunities for them to do that. The main point I want to drive home here is if you just develop some deeper confidence in yourself, right? Spend some time to cultivate that relationship with who you are as a person. Spend time with other great people, great minds, great energy, right? You hung around that for quite some time and you absorbed that energy and you became really intentional about where you want your life to go. It'll completely solve this problem right here, this overthinking where it's holding you back, okay? So commit to doing that. Get around the right people, and continue listening to things like this too, right? The repetition is how the brain learns. If you can consistently get this message in your head all the time, you might not see noticeable results for like the first couple weeks, right? But 1 month goes by, 2 months go by, 6 months go by, 12 months go by, and then you'll start to see the compound effect of drilling this kind of energy and thought into your brain, right? And then at that point, you'll start to see how your overthinking becomes an advantage to you. So where you become extremely creative, you can take on more work and really just become the best version of yourself. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you resonate with that in a big way, and that you can commit to doing this too. So if you like this video, go ahead and like it, subscribe to my channel, share it with someone you love, right? If you know someone that can benefit by hearing something like this, go ahead and send it over to them. I love connecting with these kinds of people, and I'm going to be dropping way more videos about this type of stuff in the future, and I'll let you guys go for now. Peace.